Title: Grey wolves triumph again. Back on the endangered species list, but what's the real cost? TLDR. After a federal judge reversed the Trump administration's decision to take grey wolves off the endangered species list, these magnificent creatures are once again under protection in 45 states. Animal welfare groups are howling with joy, while some hunter advocacy groups growl in frustration. Who's right? Is this decision a victory for wildlife conservation or a misstep in predator management? Disclaimer: this article does not contain legal or professional advice. The views expressed are solely based on the information provided in the linked news story. A howling victory or a barking mistake? It's a win for Team Wolf. U.S. District Judge Jeffrey S. White in Northern California ruled in favor of a lawsuit brought by the Humane Society of the United States and other wildlife organizations, restoring grey wolf protections in 45 states. The decision came after the claim that the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, USFWS, failed to adequately analyze the impact of partial delisting on the species. What's that mean for the wolves? Are they safe now? The battle between conservationists and hunters. Kitty Block, President and CEO of the Humane Society, called the decision a monumental victory for wolves. But Hunter Nation President and CEO Luke Hilgerman expressed disappointment, arguing that local experts know better about predator management. So, who should be in charge of the wolves' fate, and how do we strike a balance between conservation and predation control? Wolves, farmers, and ranchers, a tricky triangle. Grey wolves once faced extinction due to frequent conflicts with farmers and ranchers. After protection under the Endangered Species Act, ESA, in the 1970s, their population began to recover. But does this mean they are no longer a threat to livestock? How can we protect the rights of farmers without compromising the survival of these magnificent creatures? The controversial wolf hunts. Wisconsin hunters killed more than 215 wolves in less than 3 days after the species was stripped of federal protections. They exceeded the state's quota by nearly double. Was this a necessary step for population control, or a reckless bloodbath that endangered a vulnerable species? The state of the pack. Certain wolf populations on the west coast and in the southern Rocky Mountains are still vulnerable and at risk of disappearing forever. Michigan is home to roughly 700 grey wolves, playing important roles in the Great Lakes ecosystems. So what's the right path to ensure that both human interests and animal welfare are preserved? Conclusion. The relisting of the grey wolves as endangered brings joy to many conservationists but frustration to those who see them as a threat. The debate between wildlife protection and human interest continues to rage. As the federal government has 60 days to appeal the court's decision, the fate of these incredible animals hangs in the balance. What do you think? Is the judge's decision a triumph for animal rights or an obstacle to common-sense predator management? Will we ever find the perfect balance between protecting the wolves and addressing the concerns of those affected by them? How can we ensure that the magnificent grey wolves thrive without impacting human livelihoods? Let's get the conversation started.